A bit of ASMR. Welcome back to another episode of Fire. Today we're going to be making some Jap curry arancini. So we're going to start off by making pretty much a Jap curry risotto. I just wanted to make something that was just kind of together, try to make one meal into one bowl, pretty much. It was an entire just experimental thing. I walked down the aisle of the supermarket and then just saw the golden curry mix. There were just a few different types, so I just felt like buying it, experimenting with it, just to see what I can really do with it. This is what I came up with: a fried ball, which sounds a bit underwhelming, but actually it's pretty good. Let's just get started. As always, we're going to start by prepping our vegetables, which is our garlic, onion, and carrots. You want to dust it up real nice and small. It's just, when you cook it up, it's just going to form into one kind of ball, so you kind of want them to be small anyway. And then what you want to do is you want to get 1 tablespoon of olive oil, kind of heat that up, and then fry up the garlic until fragrant, as usual. And then you want to chuck in your onions, and then cook them until they are translucent. And then afterwards, you want to throw in your carrots. See, this step is just, we're making a chicken stock to add into the risotto. Now we're going to pour in 600 ml of chicken stock. You can use fresh, you can use store-bought, just any stock would work. So just as long as you have 600 ml worth. And then you want to kind of heat that up until it's just at simmering. And then just get a quarter of an apple, chop it up real nice, and then throw it in there. And then follow it up with a tablespoon of honey. I know it doesn't look like a tablespoon, but there's a little bit more in the jar, and I did put it in after. And then you're gonna simmer it, and then just put the lid on and just put it to the side just for now. And the next step, you want to get a bigger pot, put 50 grams of butter into it, let it melt just for a little bit, and then throw in 200 grams of arborio rice, which is the typical kind of rice that you use for risotto. And then what you want to do is you just want to toast up the rice until the butter melts, and until it's all absorbed into the rice. So what I did, I wanted to actually let the rice absorb a little bit of the stock just at the start, and then just pour it in the rest of it. You don't really have to do this step, you can just legit just pour it all in. And then you just want to stir that around just for now, just to kind of get it all even, especially because there are vegetables. So just to make sure it's fully consistent and fully mixed in properly. And then when you reckon that's all good to go, you want to just turn down the heat until simmering, and then put a lid on it. And I know with risotto, you're gonna do it kind of like later at a time, let it absorb. But this, you just want to just leave it and let it absorb. Like it's kind of like making congee, but not really. Well, it kind of is. Never mind. And then about 10 minutes later, it's gonna come looking like this, and it is actually cooked. This is where you want it. So now what you want to do is you want to put in 200 ml of boiling water, just because we want to add in the roux. And because the rice has absorbed most of the water, we want just a little bit more for the roux to kind of break down and make it into a sauce. Because otherwise you're going to be left with just a really thick blob of, I don't know, whatever it is. And then you want to just keep stirring that until it's just pretty much all mixed in, looking like that. And it smells like incredible. It smells also like Japanese curry, how it's like supposed to smell like. And then when I stir that around, make sure it's all nice and warm and everything, and just you gotta make sure the roux has actually broken down. That's really all you really have to do here. Then what you want to do is just take it off the heat and then pour it into a lined baking tray, just so it can cool down a bit faster. Remove it from the pot and then just put it into something to let it cool down, and then wrap it up, put it in the fridge for about an hour or until it just completely cools down. That's really all you need to do. Well, we'll just say about 1 hour later, you want to just prep up your mozzarella, because that's what we're going to be putting in those bad boys. Because when you have Jap curry and you put cheese on it, it's bloody awesome. So why not have cheese in it, in the arancini? So about just a bit over an hour later, you want to get out your, say, Jap curry risotto that you just made. Get a substantial amount of rice and put the cheese in it, and then roll it up in a ball until you're satisfied. And I think the ball was maybe around 8 centimeters deep, or it's just pretty much enough to cover the cheese. And then as we do, we got our breading station. We're gonna put it in the flour, put in the egg, and then we're gonna crumb it. and you want to press down on that. And this is what it should look like, you know, a nice ball, because that's what it is, right? So today I'm going to be using this brand new tempura pot deep frying thing that I got. Decided it was just the best time to experiment, so I'm going to whip it out. And now I'm just going to pour in some oil and heat it up. It also came with a little rack as well, but I took that off. And I want to deep fry these balls at 190 degrees Celsius for, I would say, about 4 to 5 minutes. And this is my first attempt, and I realized that the oil was extremely hot, even though I checked the temperature of it. I don't know what happened, but it just kind of burnt. Like, it kind of just became all kind of dark looking. Like, yeah, so it was like this was actually maybe about 30 seconds later, and the temperature was a bit too high, which is okay because it was just like the first kind of experimentation, and we're all bound to fail, right? Anyway, in the meantime, I brought up a new one, the same process as before, but then this time I kind of just regulated the temperature, put it on low when it reached 190 degrees, so it just stayed around there, and then chucked it in, and then I just made sure, because I didn't actually put enough oil in it, so it was kind of like almost shallow frying kind of, and then, you know, I decided to just roll it around until it's really consistent, to get a nice golden brown to it as well. There it is. That looks like a nicer color, right? 2 balls. Which one looks better? Now we're gonna just test it to see what happens. And of course, because this fried too fast, the cheese didn't melt. So it's gonna look like that. It's gonna look like this. And I mean, it tastes good. It tastes pretty damn good. It just wasn't where I was thinking. And now to test that, the one that actually went well, the cheese didn't melt either, you know, which is kind of sad. I mean, it was softer than the other one because it had more time. But I also feel like because I left it out for, you know, an extra 10 to 15 minutes for it to dry. But the thing is, with Japanese curry, you always have some kind of protein with it, right? And I thought to make, you know, I was thinking of making arancini balls with maybe like some chicken katsu on that side. But what's the point? What's the point of frying all this crap when you can just do it all at once? So I decided to make an arancini ball in a meatball. So you got the cheese, and then the rice, and then the chicken, and then the crumb. A big neutron, a big ball of food. Just so you can eat a whole meal in one go. Something more fun, right? So this is how you make the chicken. You want to get 500 grams of chicken mince, put on 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of chicken salt, and 2 teaspoons of garam masala, which I thought to put in because we need that curry flavor that goes on, just so it can enhance the flavor a little bit, and because we're experimenting today, so what the hell not. You want to put in 1 tablespoon of olive oil as well, just to help it combine and then get it all nice and soft. So then, when we make the balls, we want to make the arancini rice as before, with the mozzarella inside, with the rice, and then get a nice thin layer of chicken on the outside. And then what you want to do is you want to flour egg bread, and then this is what it should look like. It's exactly the same as before because it's just breadcrumbs. Anyway, get the fire up into temperature, 190 degrees for 5 minutes. Let's do 4 to 5 minutes, and make sure it's perfectly golden brown. And this is what the chicken meatball arancini with Jap curry with the mozzarella cheese looks like right after it was deep fried. Now we're going to cut into it to see these beautiful layers and the core of it. And see, you can see the nice thin layers of the chicken, and then the rice, and then the cheese. I think it's a beautiful creation. I think this is like, I mean, you can bite into it and that's a whole meal in itself. It's actually a whole meal, and it tastes exactly like Japanese curry. Well, that's because I use Japanese curry. I mean, it's weird if it didn't taste like Japanese curry. All into one little ball, which is a pretty cool thing. And Japanese curry, you can eat with so many things. Rice, noodle, well yeah, that's pretty much it, like usually. But it's such a nice flavor, and you can just kind of eat that all the time. And I have fond memories of going to, the Koko Curry House in Japan, and going to the streets in Japan and just eating Japanese curry with rice and udon, and it was just amazing. It's so simple, but so amazing. And I just had to screw it up by combining it as an arancini. But technically, it's just chicken katsu with just a whole bunch of shit into it. But it works, and that's it.